No.
Oh. Welcome, everyone. Lisa Dury here, the co host of Heart to Heart Navigating Lipedema Together. And I am so excited to be here with you on our Monday morning live stream podcast with my co host, friend, colleague, extraordinarily gifted researcher, advocate, ally, the founder and CEO of Lipedema Project and Lipedema Simplified, Dr. Catherine Sayo. Hey,
Hi,
hey.
everyone. Hi, Lisa. Good
Hi.
morning. Good afternoon. Good evening, wherever you are. I know we're in the morning kind of thing.
We're in the morning kind of thing, and it's also, one of those daylight saving shiftovers for many of us too.
Oh,
You know how
yeah.
this goes, yeah.
Oh, do you know, I find that I'm always a little disoriented when that happens. It's very weird.
As
But
am I.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So, disorientation, what a topic, right? So, hey, we're live and we want you to join us as you do every week that we're together. Please bring your questions in. What we wanted to focus on today, Catherine and I were just reflecting on, living with lipedema and navigating your full time life, whether you have a full time job, you're a full time caregiver, or anywhere in between. Lipedema is part of your life, it is not all of it. And sometimes it's all consuming. And one of the things we wanted to presence for you all today through our own lived experiences, what does it take when we have to give ourselves grace, when we need to be authentic and share, whether it's with our team, our boss, our colleagues, our friends, our family, what's going on behind the scenes when it comes to navigating lipedema. And Catherine and I both had a couple of experiences this past week that we thought we could unpack and see if the audience here wants to bring in their thoughts too. Because what we know to be true is that what you don't see behind this little screen right here is all that is happening in our mind, in our bodies, and in our, honestly, our belief systems about even being worthy enough to ask for flexibility or support or accommodations, right? So, Catherine, how did I do as that intro? What do you want to add to our intro?
that's perfect, Lisa, as always. It's a perfect intro because, one of the questions is, what do you do? What do you say when something happens and you need to pivot? You need to adapt. So let me, you know, um, for those of you that know me, some of you do, some of you don't, but I've had the past couple of years of pretty acute lymphatic dysfunction that has left me somewhat debilitated and compromised. I'm getting better. It's been a very slow process. Hi, Sue. Nice to see you and Marilee. Um, so I do all kinds of things in order to mend. And one of the things that I've started to do is some fasting. I find that the fasting helps. So I did a fast early in the month, and then I saw my primary care who recommended a kind of modified fast. Um, so my answer is sure, I'll try anything.
Mm-hmm.
Let's give it a try. So I ordered it. It was something called Prolon Life, and it has like a protein bar. I mean, this is for 5 days. It's a 5 day mimicking fast, is what it's called. What the hey? I'll try
Yeah,
it.
I know about this one. I've been reading the book. So that's so interesting. You and I have not talked about this, and yet the universe is conspiring because I've been reading the book. And I believe that there is an absolute opportunity in mimicking it because you're still getting the nutrition,
Well, that's
right? You're
what's
getting the nutrients. Yep.
yeah, that's what was interesting. So yesterday was day one, and they say follow it exactly,
Mm-hmm.
which I did. So
Yeah, you.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm on day two now, but day one, by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I had a headache that wouldn't stop. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Why am I in so much pain? Now, I've done a lot of fasting before and I've had different reactions. And anyway, I'm going on and on and on. I am a storyteller. I tell everybody I love the story part. Anyway, to make a long story shorter, I have my Facebook Live where I have my wonderful community and we talk on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. So I had a meeting and I was basically like, I mean, I wasn't leading the meeting, thank God. I just listened from 4 to 5, and at 5, I was like was really hard. So I just got on Facebook and said, I didn't want to send out an email and cancel. Here
Mhm.
I am. I can't talk though. I can't move. I can't breathe. I can't mostly anything. And things are getting really hectic. And on top of everything else, my landlord showed up because he was fixing something for me. And it got like totally overwhelmed. And I said, I love you all. I promise you I'll give you a longer version because by next week I'll be able to let you know more about the product itself, but I gotta go. So I
Mm,
was on for all of 3 or 4 minutes, and, you know, there's a time when I would not have felt comfortable doing that. What do they think of me? That's not professional, all kinds of things. And then I step back and say, I have a chronic disease. I
mhm.
have a disease that is not has not gone away, comes and goes. Its severity comes and goes. You know, there are days that I'm fairly normal, and then there are days far from normal. So, that was a little bit about what happened to me, and I'm curious what happened to you and what happens for others. How do you manage these times when you have to pivot and it takes being able to engage and enroll people?
Mhm.
I mean, it really is an enrollment process. It's not like, "Oh gosh, I'm just doing this." It's more like, "Hey, this is the situation. How can we move through this?"
Yeah, Catherine, I think your storytelling is a wonderful gift to the community because people can see themselves in it, right? And one of the things I think about with work, so last week I texted you before we went live. It was like not even an hour before we went live. And I said, I'm not feeling well and I'm not going to be able to do it today. And that was it. I didn't even give you a reason why, right? And I texted it, and all I got back from you was hearts and feel better. And I think one of the things that I want a presence for us is Catherine and I trust each other. And I knew that that was enough for her to know that I'm not, I follow through on my word. I get my job done. I do the things, my volunteer work as well as, my paid work. And that if I'm saying I don't feel well, I can't be there. There's something more going on. It's not a simple, just, not important, right? This podcast, I mean, I'm a host and a co-host of 2 podcasts. They mean a lot to me, right? So I send you this text, I get the hearts back, and then I ended up tuning in because I was laying in bed. And I watched you and Dr. Carmody give a fabulous update to the community. And I sat there and I thought, what would have been possible if I would have showed up? Like, what would we have talked about? What door opened when Dr. Carmody was able to step in very quickly? Thank you, Dr. Carmody. Right. And then what is possible in our relationship? Because when I got to talk to you afterwards and tell you, I was battling some mental health issues around the surgery being postponed. I was feeling vulnerable and raw and overwhelmed. I hadn't been sleeping. I was trying very hard to stay in the lens above the line of what's possible versus below the line to why me. And I didn't feel that I was going to be my best live stream. I didn't want to do my hair and makeup, and I was laying in bed. Right. And I think one of the things that you and I have in common with both of these was they were both about, a live scheduled event that the community comes to and that we trust ourselves in the community to be authentic, right? And I also think that it highlights for me the conversation about work and does your boss understand what's really going on? Does your team, do you have that built-in trust? Where is the space for you to take care of yourself in the moment when you just don't have it in you versus pushing through because you're worried about your job or you're worried about, your performance review or you're worried about, layoffs? Because with us, both of our stories are specifically about working together with the community and bringing forward, the challenges and the struggles. And I think the more we can talk about it, the safer we can make workplaces for those that don't have that yet.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think it's being able to it's this authenticity.
Mm,
It's like I knew when I got that, text from you that you were not feeling well.
yeah.
It's like there was just not a question. Um, and so and then it's going with the flow. Dr. Carmody just happened to text me. I said, "Hey, can you come on?" And so the whole thing worked out. But even if that wasn't the case, it would have worked. Either way,
Yeah.
it would have
Yeah.
worked.
Yep.
And so there's something about trusting, not only let me articulate this because I think it's important. It's trusting the people that you work with,
Mhm.
number 1, and it's trusting yourself to do what's right given any particular situation.
Yep.
I have to tell you, this is a miracle. This is the cat that doesn't do this. This is
Oh.
Erica. She's shy. She rarely comes out. It's Bella is my cat that's always around, but this is like a little bit of a miracle. She's been in hiding all weekend,
Well,
and so
for those of you on the replay, we're staring at the most beautiful kitty who is on Catherine's shoulder and purring and meowing right next to her cheek. And one of the things that I know is our animals bring in exactly what we need at the minute. So
yeah,
she's right here with you, Catherine. It's
I
beautiful.
know it's amazing. It's
Yeah.
just a miracle. I'm always surprised when she does. She spent so much of her life hiding, and now she's not hiding right now.
I know that feeling.
Yeah. So I think that's part of even the what I'm saying about how do we be authentically who we are
hmm
wherever we are,
hmm
in the workplace, in our lives, with the people in our lives, with the situations in our that pop up, is like being true to yourself. And yeah.
It's interesting when I was thinking about the tie-ins and what we were talking about today. I do every week with our clients, we're focusing on burnout prevention in some shape or fashion,
Yeah.
right? And I think one of the ways to prevent burnout is to figure out where there's wiggle room in your job, in your role, in your family responsibilities, in your life, to give yourself some grace and some space. And
Mhm.
one of the things early on in my career is I always felt that if I was invited to a meeting, I needed to go. Obviously, it was important enough that I was there. And over time and over my career, I've learned that sometimes it's better that I'm not in those meetings, better for myself, better for my team. And so one of the things I was thinking about is, could in my experience with you on the last week was like, Catherine can do this without me. It's nice to do it together, but Catherine can do this without me. So this meeting, air quotes meeting, is going to be okay if I'm not there. It's going to be okay, right? It's not a critical customer engagement. We're not speaking at the, obesity week or, a lipedema conference. It's a live stream that we can handle. And I think sometimes we have to remember that while we may think everything is critical, the one of the gifts for us from a burnout prevention and self-care standpoint is to triage what matters most right now and what's at stake if I don't do X, or I change, or maybe I work remotely that day instead of being in the office, or I don't go on screen. Like, it's allowing us the chance to really get clear about that, and then to do that ahead of time, because making that decision in the moment when you feel like crap, it's probably not the right time, right? But planning ahead, like, who can I count on? What really matters? What does my week look like? Where are the days that are so busy it might be an issue? And for me, Mondays are sometimes hard because my weekend is full of focusing on family and, parenting a tween and grocery shopping and planning meals and, blah, blah, blah. Sunday night, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm tired. So,
Mhm.
I think Monday mornings can sometimes be really hard for me.
Mhm.
So I think I want to just presence that burnout prevention tip, because whether you have lipedema or you don't, one of the things is we all tend to come from a place of, if I've been invited to this meeting or party or event or whatever, I should be there. And sometimes it's better to send a delegate, and sometimes it's better to reschedule, and sometimes you push through.
Mhm. I it's funny as we've been talking about this, I'm recalling I had surgery about a year ago, October of 2023, which was a fairly major surgery. I had what's called a lymphovenous bypass. They bypassed my thoracic duct from the subclavian vein to the jugular vein right here in my neck. Major surgery in the hospital.
Major.
Got on a staff meeting and people are saying, "What the hell are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, I'm here for the meeting. I'm in the hospital bed. I'm probably as loopy as I can get because
Mhm.
I'm just like a day, literally the day after the surgery." And a part of it was numbness, I think, but part of it was the automaticity of some of us who are incredibly dedicated to what we do. It's the kind of thing like, Lisa, I remember when you were in the emergency room doing
Yeah.
slides,
Yep.
you
Yep.
know, the kind of thing where, oh, I'm going to make it happen no matter what.
Mhm.
And the act of self care isn't even included in the thinking process. So we've come a long way, baby.
We've come a long way, baby, and I remember after your surgery, one of the things that, I had multiple conversations with you, like, "How can I support you? What does it look like? What can you offload? How do we do this?" Right? Because I was really wanting you to rest, and
Hmm.
there was also the pull for you, Catherine, I think was like, "Well, I don't wanna miss out on anything. I'm responsible. I'm the CEO. It matters, right? I trust you guys, and, I know more about this than the rest," and that's why I think that planning matters so much. Right?
Hmm.
Because one of the things that I remember that October, we were on the phone almost every day, and at one point you're like, "I can't do the kickoff.
Yeah.
You gotta do day 1, right? And I was like, "Oh my god, I have 1 day notice. I'm gonna do this for Catherine," right? And
Yeah.
then you were still there and you were resting because I think part of it too is you love what you do, and what you do is a part of who you are, and
Hmm.
you don't wanna miss it.
Hmm.
And I think that that's true for people who love their careers. And what I know with my example of being at the hospital thinking I'm having a heart attack and working on my slides, whether I'm laying in the bed while I'm waiting for the test results, trying to get the slide deck done,
Hmm.
was, not asking what matters most right now. I could have called my boss and said, "I'm in the hospital. You got this." They would have said yes. Right. But I was like, I don't want to let anybody down. This matters.
Right.
And I think that that moment for me is one example that I try and remember because I still do that sometimes, Catherine.
Hmm.
I am no longer immune from overgiving or over leading or overdoing,
Hmm.
but I'm catching it sooner. And I think when the team looked at you and said, "What are you doing?" You were like, "Okay, I'm out." Right? You actually they supported you enough to say, "We got you,"
Yeah.
and you took the break. And I think that's where the trust comes in,
Yeah.
right, over time. But I
God,
think it requires planning.
this is such a great conversation. I'm gonna bring one more story forward because it's such an important one in my life, and some of you may relate to it. I regret very little. I mean, I've made lots of mistakes. I've, screwed up. I've fixed things. I've succeeded wildly beyond my dreams. I've had all of that. So when I look at my life, I've had a fabulous life. There's one regret I have. There's one regret. I may cry on this one.
I'm here.
My dad was diagnosed with cancer, and he ended up dying from it. He had lung cancer. But what happened is right around the time that he got diagnosed, my aunt passed away. My aunt being his brother's wife.
Okay.
Um, so, and there was a funeral. And when I go back to this, I had an important meeting. What meeting is more important than family? I
Mm,
don't think now. That's why I say it's my regret. Um, I chose to facilitate a meeting. I was in corporate America at the time, and it's with some C level. Um, it was with some C level executives, and I went to the meeting. And then after the meeting, I went to the after the funeral at my uncle's home. And when I parked and walked up to the house, my family was sitting on the porch waiting for me.
mm,
My dad, my sister, my nephew. I mean, there was a few others. And I never felt so bad because it was a time when I should have been there for my dad. That's what it came down to. So that's my big regret in life. That was the one that, and I learned from it. And it never happened again. So the good news is it was one of those where I truly, truly learned the lesson. I think. I don't know. I have at this point in my life. This was, oh my God, in the 90s, so many years ago.
Mhm.
That's the kind of stuff that you work on with burnout prevention, Lisa, where you really work with people on allowing them to make the choices that are important and that matter.
Yeah, for sure. And, Catherine, I have many stories like this too, just so you don't feel alone in this, right? I think this is what brings so many of us together is making priority calls at the moment and where's our headspace? Are we below the line?
Mhm,
Fear, scarcity, I might lose my job, I'll get there later. Am I above the line of innovation? How might I creativity, right? Even working with your family, right? But you pull up and they're all looking at you, waiting for you. That's
mhm,
a that's a core memory, as they would say in Inside Out. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're never gonna forget that. And
mhm,
that's the same with me in the hospital when I was, calling my husband and saying, "I'm gonna get this done. I'm fine. I don't know what's wrong." But like, where was my priorities too, right?
mhm,
And I think that one of the things, burnout prevention, culture, whatever we want to talk about, conscious leadership, right? I think we're always learning. And I would say that that regret is just with you to remind you of what matters most, right?
mhm,
That if you hadn't had that moment, you
mhm,
might not have this learning.
mhm,
And I really do believe that sharing that allows you and me to check in and go, okay, is this like a funeral moment or is this just a live stream? You know what
mhm,
I mean? And
mhm,
then we can work together as
mhm,
partners and people who work on the same team on how do we prioritize.
mhm,
Because the other thing I think that really stands out for me in your story is that, what was the conversation with all those family members? And were they just delighted and relieved to see you? Or were they like anxiously awaiting and not present in the moment because Catherine wasn't there to hold space for them, right? What's your role in the family
mhm,
is is a piece of that.
mhm,
And I appreciate you sharing it because I don't think we're alone here,
mhm,
right? And I feel like last week or 2 weeks ago when you had me share the surgery cancellation,
mhm,
the outpouring of love and support that I got, right? And much like a funeral, I was grieving a
mhm,
major thing that's going on in my body and in my strategy and for my life and pain. And I think when we can share what's going on, we can work together to prioritize what matters most,
mhm,
right? And so I think that while we're navigating work, whether it's a funeral or a surgery postponement, being honest as much as we can where we feel safe. I'm not at my best today. I'm grieving is a
mhm.
real thing, and that's important for people. Like, this is where I'm gonna focus my time. Is this meeting, do you need me or can I send a delegate? All those things matter, and so I really appreciate that, the grieving can come in many forms, and
Mhm.
we can show up in many ways, but it does impact work,
I
you know?
put up this, comment from Sue Nonamaker, because she said, because she was here when you shared your news. "I was so upset when you shared your news,
Oh,
Lisa, and I'm still thinking about you every day. I can understand how devastated you, especially as you were psychologically and physically ready for surgery."
oh, thank you,
It's
Sue. Thank you, Sue. Yeah. Yeah, it's been so interesting. I've gotten WhatsApp messages and Facebook messengers and emails, from the community, and I was talking to Randy about it, just as we talk about navigating life and work, because I had the time off, everything was blocked, right? And here I sit with all this time now and all these feelings, and trying really hard to stay above the line and not just be judging myself like I did this to myself and have grace. But when you have time, you can do loop in your head, right? And so I was so grateful that I was able to share it and people were reaching out because it was a reminder that I'm not alone in this. And Randy said to me, honey, I don't have lipedema and I live with you every day. I'm just glad you're home for Halloween and Emily's first dance. And so I wasn't getting from him, like, I know it's really hard and you must really be beating yourself up or all the things that
Mhm,
any other lipedema patient on the planet would know. And he said to me, I'm so glad you have this community because I can see when you get these messages how it I'm going to use my words, not his, but I'm going up a notch in self love every
Mhm.
time I got one, right? Every time I was witnessed or supported or seen. And sometimes our bosses, our colleagues, our families, they don't know, they don't live with lipedema. And that's why I think community, this podcast, what we do at Lipedema Simplified, community matters so much because no one's walking in your shoes except another lipedema patient. And so, Sue, I say thank you so much.
Um, Anu I don't know how to say Anuka Jace. What happened, Lisa? She missed the initial few minutes. Do the 1 or 2 sentence version of what happened with the surgery.
Oh, yeah. So for those of you who don't know, who missed that episode, yeah, I guess not everyone tunes in every time, Catherine. What are we thinking? This is an important point, even when you're running a meeting at work.
Yeah.
What did we talk about last time? What are we going to, right? So thank you for the reminder. For the last 2.5 years, I have been contemplating lipedema removal surgery. Last July, I made the decision to go forward after spending a good 2 years working on understanding the disease in my body, starting to understand how it's affecting my lifestyle, my lived my life in the world, the disability that it's creating and my ability to walk and stand. I am out there doing what I do and it's harder and harder. So I decided to move forward with lipedema reduction surgery. Everything was scheduled. I did a GoFundMe because as a small business owner, it is no joke when you look at the out of pocket expenses for these things, especially my choice to go to Germany and not fight surgery insurance coverage for 2 years in the US. There's a lot to this. But bottom line, plane tickets were booked, donors have donated. Um, I'm so grateful because I asked for help and I don't do that. And so there was a whole journey of getting ready mentally, financially, physically, and asking for help and sharing the journey. And a week before I was to leave, the anesthesiologist said no to my surgery right now and said that my BMI is too high for her comfort level and that my fitness level is not where she'd like it to be for anesthesia to be successful and support me. And that was a week before I was getting on a plane. And it was devastating for many, many reasons. One of which was BMI in general has been a battle I've fought my whole life. And fitness levels feel Herculean when it's painful to walk or stand. Since then, I have worked very hard with my primary care to try trizepatide. I'm on my 3rd week of trizepatide. I have been getting in the pool and I have been doing laps instead of walking upstairs to build my cardiovascular. I have counted on friends. I have cried. I have taken days off. I have mourned the change and then started to see what becomes possible and just understanding what my body's doing and responding to the BMI criteria and the fitness levels. Because if anyone knows me, yeah, I don't give up. I might lay down, but I'm going to get back up. And I am, depending on the day and the moment in time, okay. And I'm also really grieving because it took a tremendous amount to schedule that, to ask for help, to plan, and to see that there's more to do, to see that there's more to do.
And I must say that you did it valiantly. Oh my god, that was like getting the rug ripped out from under you just as you were about to board the plane.
Yeah, I was packing my luggage. Like no joke, right? Yeah. It was devastating, and my clients were aware. I had my out of office, everything was, blocked. It's affected like my sales cycle. It's affected how I show up in the household and, try and navigate the grief. And I'm also really clear that if I prescribe to the belief that things happened for me, not to me, which is where I live in most days as a conscious leader, I need to walk that talk. And so I have to think about, okay, huh, since being on trizepatide for 3 weeks, my inflammation's down. That's kind of cool. My pain is a little bit less. Since swimming at the pool, my daughter and I are spending more time together at the gym, right? That's kind of cool. I was home for her first dance, which I would have missed. And I was home for Halloween, which is a big deal in my house. So rather than why me and oh my God, here we go, I'm just trying to figure out how to be honest about it at work and in life. And on rough days, text my friend Catherine and say, I can't live stream today. I'm
Yeah.
having a day, you know?
How was Emily's first dance?
Oh my gosh. I was so happy to be there. She loved it. 7th grade dance is a big deal. And what was really cool is my husband was just happy I was home, but I sat him down. I said, "This is a big moment for me to be here. I was going to miss this. So can you please take photos?" He doesn't do stuff like that, right? So I'm doing, she asked me to do her hair, which was great as a 7th grade mom. They don't always want that. So I got to do her hair. I got to drive her and pick her up and, be with her in all the glory of all the fun. And it was amazing. And I'm like, I cannot believe how lucky I am to not have missed this.
Mm.
Same with Halloween, right? I wore a Wonder Woman costume because I wanted to remind myself what's possible, and I was able to trick or treat. We took the car, it was raining, but I was able to walk with her as far as I could, then get back in the car and sit for a while, and it was awesome. And I would have missed that. So I'm going to focus on that the best I can. Maybe you all can remind me when I have those days when I'm down, right? Because I am down and it does happen. But yeah, thank
Well,
you for asking, Catherine.
yeah, excellent, just excellent. Well, we're coming to the end of our time today, and I think it's been a really good navigation and exploration and journey in what, and I want to leave you with this question. What can I do today that is authentically about my balancing who I am, what I need, and what I do in the world? Whatever that is for you. And Lisa, I want to give it to you to finish us up.
Well, I mean, I just say mic drop, Catherine. What can I do today to be authentically who I am in my body, in my life, in my career, in my home, right? How might I prioritize me a little bit more today, right? And I think one of the things for everyone is if this conversation has sparked an aha, please drop it in here. Because I believe that the wisdom is inside the community, and we are not the only two that are navigating how to be our best at work and be our best in life. And so, to Anu CJS, to Sue, Julie, Marilee for being here live and comment today, thank you so much. And if you can like, share, subscribe, spread the word, let's help everyone remember that you count, you matter, and that there are ways that you don't have to be all to everybody at all times. Right. So, Catherine, your question's a great closeout for us today. Thanks for
Love,
bringing it.
love that. Have
Yeah.
a wonderful week. We'll see you next week. Thank you.